Good morning. Welcome to the Keto Mom page. Today we are talking about the crossed wires in your brain. We're on chapter 4 of winning the war in your mind. So as you're tuning in, where are you tuning in from? I almost decided, well, we'll see. I feel like we might have to cut this chapter in half, and maybe we'll have to do that for the rest of the book. There's some really great insight and content and things to think about, but I've realized we've been going through it really fast. So my apologies. The book is incredible, and it takes time to have an awareness of where you're at, right? To actually take into account and to pay attention to the words that you're speaking, the things that you're saying, and what it truly means to rewire your brain. And so I'm going to go through chapter 4. I don't think I'm going to go through the whole thing. We'll probably go through part of it, make sure we understand it, and then, I guess it's not super long, but it's still, how do you feel? Let me ask you this. As you're going through books, do you feel like reading a chapter a day? And I really want to know. Whether you're just watching me or you're reading the book, do you feel like reading a chapter a day is a lot? Or do you feel like you can keep up with it? Where are you tuning in from? Good morning. I feel like I sound like I have a frog in my throat. Just fine. Probably a lot of the dust that's outside our home. We live on a gravel road, and some of our in-town construction has caused a ridiculous amount of traffic. So dusty. We were outside a lot. I was screaming and having fun, good screams over the last weekend, which caused my throat to be like this. Where are you tuning in from? Good morning. Okay, so who's reading the book and who's following along? Is it helpful? I want to know if you feel like the mindful mornings are helpful. All right, so we've already gone through 3 of the chapters of this book. And the basic concept of really having an awareness of what's going on in here, because if we get this right and we understand why we look at situations, why we believe the things that we do, why you speak the certain words over your life, you're going to be able to rewire that so that you do believe that you can do this. You do have confidence in yourself. You're speaking positivity over yourself and others. It's really all in awareness and how do we rewire our brain to understand that, oh, that was a lie and I need to put a truth in here, right? So this next chapter, chapter 4, is talking about cross-wiring and understanding why our brain works a specific way. So if you're brand new, we're doing a book club in the morning, right? If you're brand new, this book is from a pastor, and he talks about how it's biblical and scientific. Chapter 4 is a lot about science. He talks about the way your brain works. He talks about creating neural pathways. He talks about why when you do habits, it's almost like, he explained it like a dog in a yard that runs around the yard in a specific pattern, and that all of the grass in the pattern the dog runs in dies. Same concept of your brain, right? On how when your brain does a certain habit for so long, it creates a neural pathway, it creates a rut, and then you do it all the time. So you might be going, I don't know why I get up every morning and I grab a soda. I don't know why I do these specific habits. It's because the longer you do something, the easier it gets, the more you do it out of unconscious competence. You just do it, right? So you have to get comfortable with going, oh, I realize that's a rut and I need to change it. So he shares a lot of stories, and basically the question is this: why do we lack the power to live the way we want, and why do we often make so many irrational and self-defeating decisions? Why do you grab the donut? Why do you hit your alarm clock? Why do you choose to go through the drive-thru instead of eat the bag lunch you packed, right? Why do you choose all of these things? So a lot of this was science. I think it's super interesting. Why do we try so hard to change, but we end up doing the things that we hate? Can you relate? So why do you decide to commit to stop arguing with your spouse and then keep arguing? Why do we worry nonstop? We decide we're not going to worry, and then we worry. It goes through lots of different things. Why do you decide that you are going to lose weight, you are going to get healthy, and then you find yourself grabbing a soda and a candy bar at the gas station? There are like common threads and common themes and things that you've done in your mind and you've done over and over again. You go to the gas station. You've been going to the gas station for years. You automatically walk in. You grab the candy bar. You grab the soda. You walk out. Even though you said, an hour earlier you were going to be on a diet, you went to the gas station. It triggered an automatic response. You go in. You grab it. You get home. You eat it. And then you're like, oh, shoot. I was supposed to be on a diet, right? It's that neural pathway that he talks about in the book. So you have to have an awareness. It's going to feel weird. It's going to get uncomfortable. You're going to have to go, oh my goodness, this is the rut that I'm in, and I don't want to be in it anymore. He says the reason you make these poor decisions is because of how our brains work. So we need a solution that works with the way that we think. We have to not only recognize the unhealthy patterns, but we also have to figure out how to figure out the problem, stop the problem. So what is the rut? And we're going to have to figure out how to stop it. If we want to win the war in our minds, we have to be willing to rewrite our thought patterns and rewire our brain. Are you willing to do that? So let me ask you this question. Is there anything that you can think of right now that you naturally do that you find yourself in a rut? What is something that you're like, I do this all the time. It's become a habit. I don't want to do it, right? We all know what being in a rut is like. Thinking the same thoughts, doing the same things, experiencing the same problems. It's like we are hopelessly entrenched in the mud, right? And we want to change it. You're on here for a reason. You're probably not on here just to watch. You're probably on here to learn how to eat keto, to learn how to eat low carb, for somebody to tell you, hey, drink more water, put down the pop. Here's an idea of some recipes and meals. Here's a good breakfast. Here's a good lunch. Here's a good dinner. Stop snacking. Stop eating when you're not hungry, right? You're here to learn those things, and now you have to do them over and over and over again to create a new habit, to create a new neurological pathway. Make sense? All right. He says, let's talk about how the brain works. He goes through the entire brain process. It's super interesting. You'll have to get the book if you want to read that part. This is why thinking new thoughts and trying new things is awkward, because you feel awkward when you're doing it. So I'm going to give you an example. How many of you have heard me say, take the buns off your burgers, the croutons off the salad, or grab a lettuce wrap? Anybody? And how many of you went your very first time and you're like, oh my goodness, I ordered a burger, no bun. That's weird, right? Maybe all of your friends are sitting around, your family members, and you're eating the bun or the burger with no bun. Feels awkward, like, oh my goodness, the bun is missing. Oh, my family thinks I'm weird. Or you decide like, hey, I'm not going to have the fries, I'm going to have some vegetables. Hey, I'm going to eat a little differently. Nope, we're not going to go out this week, we're going to make our food. Hey, sorry, coworkers, I have goals. I'm going to stay in the office while you go grab pizza. I'm going to eat my bag lunch, right? In the beginning, it can feel awkward. But if you recognize the pattern and the rut that you're in, and it will feel awkward for a period of time, you're going to start creating new pathways, right? You're going to start creating new ways of doing things. And eventually, with consistency, over time, he talks about this in the book Atomic Habits. We went through that last month. You will create neural pathways to automatically take the buns off the burgers. Ordering your salad with no croutons and dressing on the side. Grabbing a protein and a vegetable. Packing your lunch. Not going into the gas station at all because you've stopped the habit. You are aware. And now we're going to create new systems and habits that might be uncomfortable, but long-term will serve you better, right? And so if you haven't figured this out and you've been reading the books with us for the last 3 months, they all have the basic concept. It's having an awareness of what you're doing. right? It's having an awareness. You're going to stop what you're doing, and we're going to start creating new habits, not out of perfection, but learning. He said, there was a phrase he said in here. I don't know where it's at. Anyways, he says, you were designed to smoothly, effectively create and fall into habits. Now it's up to you which habits you're going to create. There's things you do automatically. Brushing your teeth, right? There's things you do automatically. Overeating. Some serve you, some are good for you, and you have to be able to pick out the ones that are not serving you. So, you know what? We're probably fine going through this chapter, but we might have to take the next chapters and really break them down, because he's going to start helping you rewire your brain. He says, unless we decide to break the pattern, our lives will continue moving in the wrong direction. And so I love at the end of each chapter, he gives you action steps and exercises. He says, time to start recognizing the ruts that you're in. So he gives you some space to write. And then we're going to start going into what do we have to do to replace the lie or the rut or the bad habit with a truth. So this last chapter was all about awareness, as in most chapters in the other books are the same, right? Having the awareness, having the understanding, and now it's time to implement and go, I have to stop doing that. So my action step for you today is, as you're going throughout the day, we've been working on paying attention to the words that we tell ourselves, the lies that we tell ourselves. What are the natural habits that you do because you just naturally do them, but they're not serving you, right? So when you leave the house, or maybe you work from home, pay attention to when you're eating. Pay attention to what you're eating. Why are you eating it? Are you hungry? It's a habit. The clock says to eat. Do you always go through the drive-thru because it's something that you do? Do you not take time to plan your week so then naturally you run behind? All of this takes time, and all of it takes you stepping back and looking at all of the actions that you do and why you do them. You are not going to naturally fall into healthy habits. You're not. You have to decide. You have to be intentional. You're going to have to get focused, and you're going to have the awareness of what you're doing, and then decide to be done with that, to make a pivot, and we're going to go a new direction. All of the books that we have been reading have the same overlying overview of what you have to do. We have to create new habits. We've got to create new systems. We have to become aware. We've got to have the discipline, and you have to decide. And you will not naturally choose to be healthy. You are naturally going to choose what's comfortable. So my question to you is, are you ready? That only you can answer that. I can't make you do it. I can only give you things to think about, and then you have to decide. So I hope this book is helpful. You can always reach out and ask questions. How do I get started? Hey, if you want a basic foods list, I have a basic list with a video of how I started years ago, 6 years ago. Post food in the comments. I would love to give that to you. If you want to ask me specific questions, just send me a message. I would love to have a conversation with you. I would love to know what your goals are. So reach out, right? You're never going to get your questions answered if you don't ask them. The power of the ask. You never know if somebody would give you like oh, that's all I need to do. Or, oh, something that somebody might say that turns your little brain, not little, I didn't mean like that. Turns your brain on to make you go, I had no idea. So, yes, post food in the comments. When I'm done, I will come back to you and send you a message of how I got started. It's pretty basic. There's not a secret. I don't feel like there's a one-size-fits-all in this lifestyle. I truly feel like it's going to be looking at your habits, what's going to work for you. I'll give you some ideas. I'll show you the basic overview of like drinking more water, some breakfast ideas, having an awareness of how to get started. So I hope that's helpful. I hope you guys have an incredible morning. Continue to tune into the page for lots of different keto tips and tricks. And I will talk to you later. Have a wonderful day.